Good evening. This is Brenda Tsepiso Mahome. I am in company of men of God tonight and from all over the continent. We are going to have another wonderful conversation. Dr. Agizo is from Ethiopia. Dr. Silvano here, well, another doctor in the Lord, from from South Sudan, and Dr. Ronald from Uganda, I beg your pardon. And I am from the southern part of the continent, South Africa. I will let the gentlemen introduce themselves before we get to our topic of the evening.
Yes, good evening, our dear followers and viewers. My name is Ronald Tetumwa, coming from Uganda. I'm really happy to be on this platform with this great men, of course. I don't know what the Lord has prepared for us to share tonight, but I believe it will all be inspiring and also breathtaking. So just sit and tighten your belts, for the flight is going to begin soon. Thank you.
Good evening, Africa. My name is Samuel Silvano. I am from South Sudan, and I'm so grateful to be with this wonderful gentleman and, of course, the only lady in our midst. And it is God's way for us to meet and to discuss. We are from different part of Africa. We're here in Tanzania, and it is a pleasure.
Thank you. I think my name is also Ed, and people expect a miracle from far, but today it's a miracle on its own for me to meet, people from different parts of, Africa, and yet, discussing that this hour what matters to us and to other people, or maybe share the same interest with us. So thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Lovely. So tonight we will be having a discussion about what we would like to see, the changes that we would like to see happen in our continent. Because we come from different parts, we have different views, different careers for that matter. And what unites us, most importantly, is one thing, the Lord, our God. So we are just going to play around with the subject and see where it goes. I'll start with you, sir.
All right, I think that's surprising that we're going to discuss one of the most important yet good topics that really impact Africa and that impact the world at large. First of all, we would like to understand change. Change is something that we all have to go through physically, emotionally, psychologically. It's unavoidable, and the way we embrace change also matters. If you look at some people, they're living in denial because of change. So whether you like it or not, change will walk your way. So it's up to you to embrace it or like it or run away from it. But it will keep pushing. It's like a tsunami that when the ocean is at its best, it will push the waters to you. So if it finds you ready or you ain't ready, you can stop the tide. It will still flow. So many people have taken on a positive change and a negative change. And you'll hear so many discussions from the panel here, and you understand that not all change is good, but there's need for change. Yeah, there's need for change. So it is up to we who are embracing change to understand which dimension of change am I taking on, how will the change impact me, how will the change impact society, how will my change impact my family and my spirituality, because that's really important. So any change which takes you away from your spiritual cause, to me, I feel it needs to be double checked, because you can change everything, but you can't change your connection with the Lord. That should remain at all times in your change cycle. The pivot should always be God. So you change within God, you grow up in God, you go up and down with God. So I think as we grow into the evening, we shall get to see and hear so many things. So I'll let the other members of the panel also throw a light on change, and then we can always come back and see what we can discuss according to change. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the foundation because most of the time, this change that we're talking about is usually facilitated by God. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like something that you want to embark on as a journey. There is also fear usually that is attached to change because it's the unknown, and sometimes you're not even ready for it. But the most important thing is inviting God to just trust that He is in the midst of it and facilitating it. Therefore, you have to give in and allow Him to take over. Most importantly.
Absolutely.
So the foundation is God Himself.
Yeah, the foundation is good.
Most importantly, the kind of change that we like to experience here in Africa, especially among the youth. So many negative things have impacted our life as young people, impacted the life of so many people outside, and it makes us to culturally go away from our culture, spiritually go away from our. The world has lost its spiritual values, and to walk away from the comfort zone where we are right now, it takes a lot. It is a painful change. It is a painful change that one has to make decision to accept the will of God. That it is God calling me to change, for whom I'm actually created to be, and it is the direction of God for me that I should leave what I am doing and I adapt to what God wants from me. Yes.
Perfect. So looks like it's my turn now. Okay, so I haven't said about my background. I am a medical doctor, and also by profession I do medical research. Through my PhD. So that is where I engage myself in day-to-day life. But also I'm a pastor as well. So I'm just holding the two things without having any conflict between faith and science, which many people sometimes get confused with.
You treat the body and the soul.
Yeah, you can say so maybe. So very interesting thing you are talking about change. So it gives me actually a privilege or an advantage, to talk about change even from medical perspective. And then we can link it now with spiritual things as well, and then we'll bring God into the picture as well. So I don't know if you realize that it's only human being that undergoes a very slow change from birth to maturity. Most of the animals, they were born immediately they start to walk, immediately they start to do their things. And the change that you would see through them is mostly slight things here and there, but the physical change is the same way through until they mature. Some of them are food for other predators and so on. So that is it. But when it comes to human, we are created in the image of God, and we are not just matured when we were born. In fact, it's only human being probably that needs care up to the age of 5 before you know who you are. Even have to be taken care by parents. So that is where change starts, by the way, and it's very slow and progressive. So how come human made in the image of God, and yet they are given a slowly going change? I don't know why God did this, but one thing I know is that this change, as you have already mentioned, is inevitable. Then things actually, as it happens in life, somehow you saw our thinking and recognition and coming to know our world and how we relate with our Creator will start to evolve actually over time. For example, we can talk about the later change that is important to use people in their life. But before we even go there, up to the age of 6, children as they grow, when they start to realize their environment, they kind of think their mom is a role model, nothing else. So every focus is around mom. And then from 6 to 12, now they start to grow a little bit, start to see how dads are doing in and out, significance and bringing money or this and that. And then they change, oh no, it's not mom, it's my dad. He's who is my role model. So they change. Their physique is changing, their mind is changing. And then when they reach to 12, now they also change now. They think, okay, mom is not right, dad is not right. I think I am right, they say. So in that, teenage thing, they start to think, they own the world. So they start to indulge here and there, but they found, a mess in their life. And when they are 17, they realize, I think I'm not right too. Now, where to go from there? That is where now God comes in. Either they follow a spiritual line or they follow otherwise, peer pressure and stuff like that. And that continues until the age of 24 again. That is when they take their altitude actually. And then, their mind and their body is kind of coming together. Teenage has a funny way of, displaying itself to our teenagers. The body is growing, but their mind is not. So the body is driving the mind itself. So that's why they indulge into things that they don't want to indulge. So when they reach to 24, somehow now they have seen so many things, tried so many things, and then they balance it. Finally, their mind and their bodies kind of blend together. That is when now the right decision comes in. But unfortunately, when they are even there are things that are not yet matured. So this inevitable world is coming to them, but they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Even if they know God. Mostly our pastors and leaders are telling us, read the word of God, pray and be filled with the Holy Spirit, as if that will do all the miracle. Well, that has a spiritual aspect of it, but there are other things that people need to go with facing this world. Especially in part of Africa where we are not given the privilege really to be kind of entertained from the early age what it means to have a self-esteem, for example, what it means to have a social support, for example, what it means to face a financial difficulty. So for the rest of the world, relatively, these things are easier. Or there are some lights, here and there that they could see from their environment that, well, one day I will be there. So that gives them a hope. But in Africa, that's not the way we live. So that is the world that our young people are facing, even adult people are facing for that matter. So we need to talk about change, as it evolves, in our life. So which area to talk about, I think we will come later on this one. I hope it's making sense.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Doctor, you spoke of something which has caught my mind, and maybe before we go into which area to handle, the fact that you can't go back, you are growing into these stages like you've broken down, and then you reach a stage where you say that you have entered the territories and you're not maybe ready for it. Yeah, you don't know how to handle the stage where you are. You don't know how to walk out of it. You don't know because you also have unreconciled past.
And you are told also not to speak your mind.
Yeah. So
Isn't that the case?
Yes.
you get into here, and the unreconciled mind keeps telling you that maybe you're wrong, maybe you're not worth, maybe you're not. So it kills the esteem itself.
Absolutely.
And then we get people who are trapped in an age where they don't live the age, they don't act the age, they don't go with the trends of the age. Okay, and also we have those that have not passed through the past challenges that try to show self-independence above its limits. Yeah, self-independence, where somebody will tell you, Daddy, you're so wrong. I know the choices I'm making. How can I know my rights. All right. So that self-independence, we see babies making choices. We see premature choices. We see abortions. We see early marriages. We see teenage mothers because of the premature choices. out of what you call change, okay, and unreconciled past, all right, and also the desire to go out of the time zones that we are in. Because, Doctor, if you would agree on the panel, that change appears in time zones, in stages. Like he said, it's only animals and other creatures that can transition so quickly into what they have to be. All right, other instincts come in, okay, playing around, jumping, eating grass, and all that. Maybe your food to the prey, and you're prey to something. But human beings will go into these stages, and once you miss one of those, you create an accident of self.
Mm.
So the accident of self gives you a psychological accident, a spiritual accident, a physical accident, all right? And you'll hear people claiming to be what they ain't and what they think they are, all right? I don't know whether you've gone through that stage where if it's not by the grace of God, everybody thinks he's a musician. I remember having dreadlocks on my head, going around bars trying to sing, thinking that I would be a musician. And everybody who tried to talk to me out of it, I saw that they really didn't understand that this was my future. And I was ready to be one superstar in Africa, following like a Dube.
For you.
Yeah. so, but look at what I am right now, what I'm doing. It ain't connected to any of that. So, if we can help each other out of the trap, out of the fixations, and out of the accident, and we have so many accidents walking on the road, and people who have not reconciled who they want to be, they're still testing the waters. Are they deep enough or are they shallow? Who are still trying to learn? Maybe they are learning from TV, they are learning from church, they are learning from. They have not yet. I don't know. Maybe doctor can talk about it. All my friends here, they are trying to learn who they are, what they can be, and they are doing it at almost at a wrong stage of life.
But what makes it wrong? Because the minute you say they are trying,
Mm,
to me, at least they are not sitting at home waiting for something to happen. It's a process because if they are not trying to find out what they are meant to be, or at least tapping on all these things which they feel at that time you were convinced that you were going to be a musician,
yeah.
and yet it wasn't what God had intended for you. And you had to go through that in order for you to finally find your destiny.
Mm,
So I admire those people who are waiting to happen
okay.
because it's the process that will lead them to what they really are meant to be doing. So I admire them because it's something is happening.
Yeah, something is happening, and I appreciate it. Something is happening. But let's take a case study of Saul
Hmm.
in the Bible.
Okay.
Saul is a man, he's so intelligent.
Hmm.
He can read, he can write, he can interpret the law. And Saul takes on a course. I believe by this time is 30 something years.
Hmm.
Takes on a course of trying to prove to God that he is so righteous by killing those who think they are righteous.
Hmm.
So the conflict is that the ego, and the reality, all right? Because spirituality, they can't align with ego. One has to give way to the other. So if you feel you are strong, you're energetic, I can change things out of my strength, I can do this out of my will, I can lead the way, I can crush those people, I will slay them, all right, and thinking that is spirituality. It's ain't. And when spirituality meets Saul on the road, his ego had to go down, and spirituality was led him to become Paul. So the change of life is, like we say, inevitable. But at what time in your life are you going to accept the pivot of change? And that is God. Because if you look at it that you're going to accept God in your later stages of life, you may miss out on the on the early chances of change. Okay, and you'll push through life with a dry spirituality, because we have us who have also accepted God, but we are still out of Him. So a dry spirituality, and you will live life out of ego, and not until you encounter Him on your way to something, on your way to Damascus, on your way to maybe the abortion clinic, on your way to the bar, on your way to anything that the Lord may wish to find you onto. There the spark will come in, and then spirituality will definitely destroy ego, and then change will be automatic.
You know,
I disagree.
Let me
Before you disagree,
let me help you to. I like to start from the base,
yeah.
because now you are in the middle of things. But I want to take you back before you were born. When to bring God into the picture. Human beings are not born or created by accident. Obviously, from the Bible, we know many people said to be, for example, David was said after my heart before he was born, by the way, not after he was born. In fact, 8 years before he was born, God said, there will be a man after my heart to replace King Saul. And King Solomon was like that. Even Jeremiah was like that.
But did David believe it? Because he said,
He doesn't have to.
I was born out
He
of
doesn't
sin.
have to. He doesn't have to. That's
That,
exactly.
that's Psalm 51. I was born conceived out of sin.
No. I will. Okay. I mean, for interest of time, I may not mention it.
Oh, okay.
I'm a number person. I'm a data person. I calculated it how that has happened. By the time Saul was living, he was hearing 40 years, right? And King David was 30 years. And God rejected Saul 2 years in his kingship. That is when he said, a man after my heart will come. It means David was not even conceived. He was born 8 years after that. Because his age will tell you now when God said something about David, the time he was born was 8 years after Saul was rejected. Then that tells you that 8 years before he was born, already David was in the mind of God. So that is the same to all of us. So since we are now in the plan of God, our life already was planned before we were born, right? So that should give you a good, ground how even this change should be handled. Okay, we said a child until even 17, they don't know what they're doing. So who does God think to take care of this teenage? That is where now, the spirituality comes from the church perspective. That is where now we're trying to do, we have to help young people, who are behind us because they don't know what they are doing. They don't have knowledge, they are not emotionally mature, they are not physically mature, they don't have what self-control, you name it. They don't have so many self-care dimensions. They don't have money also, and so on. So parents, teachers, spiritual leaders, and the secular, even worldly leaders should be an example to this, so that they see and get what they need to be fed on. When they need it, that is when they pull out those kind of stuff. So that is where it should start actually. How good, could play something in anybody's life. So if we take our responsibility as those who pass through, go back and help them, this change that they are going through, the inevitable one, the risky one, will be adjusted in such a way that when they made a decision, they will be making a decision not by accident, as we are talking, abortion and all kind of thing. They do it by choice. They were informed already. I can give you a lot of example about my daughters. She's 15. Sometimes she tells me, "I'm in love with this guy. I want to bring him home." So this is a physical change. Yeah, she's undergoing, 15. They are open to tell me. And I'm not going to blame her or I'm not going to do anything. I say, are you in love? Yes. You want to bring home? Yes. I said, okay, but you are not ready. He said, what do you mean? I know I'm a Christian. I'm not going to indulge in this and that. But I'm telling her, you know what? Once you kiss you, you're lost. Nobody can bring you back. So do you want to try and fail or you listen what I'm telling? And she said, okay, I will listen to you, Dad. Then after a week or two, she forget about him. You see, my presence meant a lot to her so that she doesn't indulge into this. So these are the adults, the spiritual leaders, the teachers, all those kind. This is our responsibility to coach and culture them. You don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I would like to pick from where he talked, and um, first of all, there are a number of things that affect our life as a human being. Everyone is born with a purpose.
Yeah.
No one was just born like that. No one was just born for nothing. But God had a purpose, a particular purpose for us. But now, when we are born, the type of families that we come to will influence our life, will influence our decision, and will influence our future. And the second thing, the kind of environment where we are. So if we stay in a negative environment, then it will have a very great impact on the future of our children. Then the third one, it's now the influence of the social media, the negative influence, the bad energies around. Uh, I just want to give you an example. Uh, in my country, in South Sudan, I went to say a prayer. I was sent by my parish priest to go and say a prayer. And when the prayers is done, a woman stood up, and the woman was talking that we need our leaders to stand because there is a woman who came from abroad and giving to young children a family planning so that they could not conceive and so on. So the thing was very touching. These are children who doesn't know even boys, who doesn't know even men. In the other way, if you encourage this kind of things to young children, girls of 14, 15, then they will end up messing around their life, knowing that they have taken some pills that will make them not to conceive. So I the good thing there were some church leaders and also political leaders there, and I was telling them if for example, if people gave to the parent of this person who is giving to these children the pills that they could not conceive, for example, if the people gave to her parents, will she be there? Will she be there doing this? And so now this tells us that for us to help the youth, to help our colleagues in Africa, the entire Africa, we need to capitalize, especially on the things that is destroying our society, the things that is influencing and making us to lose value completely. As we come in and adopt to these influences, whether it is from the family, whether it is from the community where we live, whether it is from the social media, we tend to get lost from the purpose that God created us. And once we get lost, we can never find ourselves again unless when Christ come in our life. And for Christ to come in our life, it is a bold decisions that we have to take because Christ will not come to us by force, but Christ will come to us when we invite Him in our life. Recognizing those things, telling them the side effect, and telling them how dangerous it is to the future, and telling them about the mercy of God. No matter how we got lost, no matter how we went astray, when we open our heart, Christ still welcomes us back and Christ takes us back. And this is the kind of positive change that we would like to see. Every youth in Africa, every child in Africa is an obedient child